Hello guys and welcome. You all heard the story of Hansel and Gretel. If not, please do get familiar with the classic one, because only then will you fully appreciate this one, which is quite different and more comprehensive and definitely not for kids. But here's one thing, you'll hear it in 14 languages. Whenever you see and hear this sign, means I'm introducing a new language to the story. Watch the video till the end and see how many of them did you recognize, or maybe even understand. Technically, one of them is not a separate language, but it is quite different. You will see. Alright, are you ready? Vamos lá! Once upon a time, there was a small town in a faraway country. At first glance, society seemed to be thriving in every way. The economy was booming, grown-ups were working, and the children were being educated. On the outskirts of town lived a family, average in every respect. Mother, father, daughter named Gretel, and son named Hansel. It was time for dinner.
Venez les enfants, votre dîner va refroidir.
Father didn't feel like waiting, so he already ate and started reading the newspaper and drinking vodka. The mother was furious.
Jone, Margot, venez tout de suite.
Those survivors are counting on you.
Rescue anyone you can find.
No puedo, estoy jugando Mundo de Warcraft. Estoy a punto de subir mi paladín al nivel 28. Nem eu. Estou escrevendo comentários no TikTok. Belmira tem mais curtidas do que eu. Je n'ai rien à foutre. Venez manger ou je prends vos gadgets. Sim, mãe.
While the brother and sister were eating quickly, the mother tried to have a pleasant conversation.
Comment est à l'école aujourd'hui? Aburrido. Avez-vous appris quelque chose de nouveau? Eu não estava prestando atenção. Quoi? Tu entends ça?
Что? Я не слушал. Читаю новости. Говорят, что еще двое детей пропали без вести.
Oh mon Dieu, c'est terrible. C'est déjà le 5e enfant qui a disparu. Connaissez-vous ces deux enfants? Non. Eu não ligo. Il faut faire attention. Évitez les sangliers. N'est-ce pas, mon chéri?
Что? Я не слушал. Говорят, в эти выходные будет курс для современных ведом. Ты должна пойти.
Quoi?
Ну, ты сама сказала, что ненавидишь свою работу мэра.
Podemos irnos agora. A gente terminou o jantar. Oh putain de merde! Allez vous coucher.
It was already midnight when the mother burst into her son's room.
Jone, pourquoi ne dors-tu pas encore? Tu dois aller à l'école demain. No puedo, no puedo. Los orcos están atacando mi fortaleza.
Then she went to her daughter's room.
Margot, qu'est-ce que tu fous? Eu tenho que tirar uma selfie com o meu novo sutiã vermelho. J'en ai marre de ces conneries. Il est temps que toute cette merde arrive à son terme.
The next day, the same story. After dinner, the brother and sister rushed back to their rooms. But then, someone knocked on the door. The mother was very surprised when she saw the school principal.
Bonsoir, Madame la Directrice. Qu'est-il arrivé? Kalispera, κυρία Δήμαρχε. Ο Hansel και η Gretel δεν εμφανίστηκαν στο σχολείο σήμερα. Ανησυχούσα πολύ, γιατί αρκετά παιδιά έλειπαν. Oh, ils sont malades. Ils viendront la semaine prochaine. Επίσης, έχουν κακούς βαθμούς στην αριστοτελική φυσική και στη φιλοσοφία του νεοπλατωνισμού. Merci. Je vais m'en occuper. Au revoir. Jeannot! Margot!
After a heated argument, the kids ran back to their rooms. Again. The mother then decided to finally do something. She wanted her children to learn responsibility so that one day they could take care of themselves and their families. She felt that the first step was to teach them how to survive in the wild. So, she told her husband,
Nos enfants sont complètement incapables. Nous les conduirons au plus profond de la forêt et nous les laisserons là. Ils y passeront la nuit sans leurs gadgets. Cela leur apprendra à survivre seuls.
Но это может быть опасно. Они тоже могут исчезнуть.
C'est le risque que nous devons prendre. Nous n'avons pas d'autre choix.
Что? Хорошо, мы сделаем это. But the parents didn't know that the two of them were eavesdropping on them.
Você ouviu isso? Eles querem deixar a gente no meio da floresta sem celulares. Como vai chegar em casa? Não te preocupes, hermana. Tenho uma ideia.
And so, the parents took Hansel and Gretel to the forest and left them with a tent and hiking equipment.
Vous passerez la nuit dans la forêt. Vous avez tout ce dont vous avez besoin. Nous viendrons vous chercher le matin. Esto es tan estúpido e inútil. Además, no sabemos montar uma tienda de campanha. Como vou fazer xixi sem meu celular? Vou enlouquecer de tédio. Je m'en fous. Ce sont vos problèmes.
As soon as their parents went home, Hansel told his sister,
Esperaremos una hora y nos iremos a casa. Cuando regresemos, mamá y papá ya estarán dormidos. Que porra a gente vai fazer por uma hora nesta porra da floresta? Se pelo menos tem cigarros? Por supuesto, sabia que los necessitaríamos. Pelo menos algo bom. Dê-me o isqueiro. Oh não! Lo olvidei! O quê? Ah, foda-se! Que porra vai fazer agora? Não te preocupes, quemaremos este árbol. Vi en Discovery Channel que puedes hacer fuego golpeando dos piedras.
And so, Hansel started striking one stone against the other, but he couldn't light a fire. Gretel then also knelt down, took two stones, and began striking. As they both started overheating and sweating, they took off their shirts. And as they were striking stones, they were moaning loudly. Suddenly, they heard some rustling. They stood up and saw an elderly man with a rifle. Hej ungdomar, vad i helvete håller ni på med? Är ni inte för unga för att para sig?
Yo soy Juanito. Y esta es mi hermana Margarita.
Tja, jag kommer från ett väldigt liberalt samhälle. Men det här är för mycket även för mig.
Quem é você? Mas que diabos está fazendo aqui?
Jag är skogvaktare. Jag brukar jaga bort björnar och unga älskare. Varför är ni här?
When they told him the whole story, he felt sorry for them.
Här är tendaren. Du har förresten samma BH som Belmira. Jag såg det på TikTok.
O quê? Aquela vadia! Joãozinho, bora para casa imediatamente.
Men hur ska ni komma hem mitt i natten?
Mientras caminábamos hacia este lugar, estaba dejando caer las pastillas antidepresivas de mi mamá. Tenemos una linterna, por lo que encontraremos fácilmente el camino a casa.
Okej, men ni måste samla alla piller. Om björnarna äter dem blir de väldigt frenetiska.
Of course, they didn't pick up the pills, but they did find their way home. While the parents were sleeping, they, each in their own room, continued with their favorite activities. Until morning. When Mom saw their shoes and unpacked tent in the morning, she immediately woke them up. Bon sang, pourquoi êtes-vous rentrés? Vous auriez dû nous attendre. Hacía mucho frío. Además, el guardabosques nos dijo que el bosque está lleno de osos frenéticos. Ademais, a Belmira comprou sutiã igual ao meu. Essa cadela quer seduzir Alfonso. Olha quantas curtidas ela tem. Quoi? Tu entends ça?
Да, я видел. Мне очень нравится бюстгальтер Белмиры.
Quoi? Es-tu fou ou quoi?
Почему ты кричишь?
Ты опять забыла принять таблетки. Déjame ir ahora. Necesito convencer a los elfos de la noche para que ataquen a los orcos. E eu tenho que ir comprar sutiã novo para minhas selfies. Vous n'irez nulle part. Habillez-vous. Vous passerez toute la journée avec le fermier Daluxolo dans sa ferme. Vous en apprendrez beaucoup sur l'élevage. Eres muito cruel. Eu odeio você. Of course, Mom's decision was final. As soon as they had eaten breakfast, the parents took Hansel and Gretel to Farmer Daluxolo, whose small farm was located even deeper in the forest. When they got there, they saw a worried farmer talking to a forest ranger. Bonjour, monsieur. Qu'est-ce qui se passe?
Molonko si kazi sodolophu. Intombi yami la shekile pjezolo. Bekufanele ukuba sakhe yoko encha yen kukunga lenzeni. Kodvan di fike gumbini lakhe lokulala. Ebengeko. Очень странный. Вчера вечером я увидел, что она выложила новое видео в эротическом белье.
Ho! Jag såg den videon också. Jag tycker att den röda behån ser bättre ut på henne än på Belmira. Por que ninguém comenta meus vídeos?
Gelishwa umliganise lovako vebodi kakulu.
Oh mon Dieu, c'est terrible. C'est déjà le 6e enfant qui a disparu.
Oroa dig inte bonde. Om din dotter är i skogen på efterfesten, så hittar jag henne.
When the mother explained to the farmer why she had brought her kids, he smiled.
Ndiavuya ukubani za kushala nambantuana. Gelingandi saka yoko yenkuku. Nigadi ngedi sangelizwanyana.
Excellent! Nous reviendrons le soir pour récupérer les enfants. Et maintenant, je dois aller d'urgence à la pharmacie.
К сожалению, сегодня мне нужно работать. Нелегко управлять модельным агентством. As soon as the parents and the ranger left, the farmer said, Dine sabelo senu so kunala. Ngabani a quasi o kuchakula isitia.
Claro, nós aprendemos isso na escola primária.
She lied because she wanted them to finish as soon as possible and not have to listen to his explanations. And so, when the farmer left them in the garden, Gretel panicked.
Que porra a gente vai fazer agora? Não faço ideia de como parecem as ervas daninhas. Vi en Discovery Channel que las malas hierbas crecen alrededor de las plantas y las asfixian. Arrancaremos cualquier planta que se vea así.
And so, the children began to pull the weeds that were growing around the corn stalks. They quickly pulled about 100 weed stalks. Just before they finished, the farmer came into the garden. He was shocked.
Oh ai, ninlinga okuba nenzantoni. Ai lo Tlakaelel, zimboti ezikula kufuchane nombona. Oh, chinglawam, ilishwa elingaka. Fantástico! Talvez ele mande a gente para casa agora.
But he didn't. He took them to a barn with several cows and bulls. He asked them, Mia quasi o kusenga in como?
É claro, pelo menos isso é fácil.
She lied again, but when Hansel said he saw the procedure in some video game, she reluctantly sat down next to the cow and started milking it. It was strange to her that the milk didn't flow immediately, and Hansel was standing in front of the cow.
Esta vaca está muy feliz. Mira, me lame la cara.
But when the farmer entered the barn, he was shocked again.
Ninlinga ukuba nenzantoni. Ai onkomo leio. Yinkabi.
Quaie, aingomabele wenkomo lao. Ngoku, nainisekileo, ailobisielo.
O quê? Nojento. Ay, 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 hermana. No es de extrañar que el toro estuviera satisfecho.
The desperate farmer didn't want to disappoint their mother, the mayor, and he also wanted someone to be around while the search for his daughter continued. He took them to the old chicken coop and explained that they had to feed the chickens, but not let them out. Kufuneka nje ni jule imvuthuluka ze sonka panzi. Lonto ngokwenene aiko nzima. As soon as the farmer walked away, Gretel asked Hansel,
Como a gente vai chegar em casa? Mientras caminábamos aquí, estaba esparciendo migas de pan. Tan pronto como alimentemos a las gallinas, regresaremos. Las migas nos mostrarán el camino de vuelta.
At least that was his plan. But they didn't know that in the chicken coop there were 20 hens and one rooster who was, impregnating the hens. He was so zealous that all the hens were calling him the horny cock. While the brother and sister were throwing the breadcrumbs on the floor, one hen came out of the coop and started eating the other crumbs, those that Hansel was throwing on the way. The horny cock immediately ran after her. You know why? And then the brother and sister left everything and also ran after them to return home. I can only imagine how the farmer felt when he saw that all the chickens had escaped from the coop and that the children were missing too. But we'll come back to that later. When the hen arrived at Hansel and Gretel's house, followed by the horny cock, the mother had just returned from the city council meeting. When she saw the animals, she got scared and immediately called her husband.
Regarde, mon chéri, est-il possible qu'une force magique ait transformé nos enfants en coq et en poule?
She didn't even finish the sentence, and the rooster had already jumped on the hen. Ну, я не знал, что у наших детей есть кровосмесительные наклонности. But then Hansel and Gretel ran out of the forest. Смотри, к счастью, наши внуки не вылупятся из яиц.
Jone, Margot, qu'est-ce que vous foutez ici?
The children said that the hen and the rooster escaped from the coop and that they ran to catch them. Mom was suspicious, but decided they should stay home and that she and her husband would take the rooster and hen to the farmer.
Reposez-vous maintenant. Demain, nous vous emmenons au camp de scout. Vous apprendrez enfin quelque chose de professionnel. ¡A la mierda! Mañana tengo que completar la misión de Karazhan con otros jugadores. Foda-se! Amanhã vai ter after na discoteca. Eu tenho que tirar pelo menos 20 selfies.
Early the next morning, the parents took Hansel and Gretel to a scout camp even deeper in the forest. The children were complaining all the way.
¡Maldito campamento! ¿Qué voy a hacer todo el día con esos locos? Não conheço esses nerds e fanáticos. Nenhum deles tem perfil em nenhuma rede social. Arrêtez de vous plaindre. Vous vous ferez de nouveaux amis et profiterez de la nature.
Конечно, в лагере много девочек-подростков. Жду не дождусь, когда увижу их. When they finally arrived, they were met there by an enthusiastic instructor.
Guten Morgen, liebe Leute! Wie ich sehe, haben wir 2 Anfänger. Toll! Ihr werdet in kürzester Zeit erstklassige Scout sein. Wie heißt du?
Margarida.
Toll! Und wie alt bist du?
16.
Toll! Und du?
Juanito. 14.
Toll! Kommt, Kinder! Ihr seid gerade rechtzeitig zum Aufwärmen hergekommen.
As soon as the parents left, the instructor led them to the other children who were already in line. He introduced the novices and placed them in the front row.
Scouts, lass uns ein paar Kniebeugen machen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 497, 498, 499, 500. Ausgezeichnet! Und jetzt machen wir ein paar Liegestütze. 1, 2, 3, 4.
After 300 push-ups, they ran 50 laps around the camp. And then it was finally time for breakfast. Hansel and Gretel sat at the very end of the long table. They didn't want to hang out with the other, extremely friendly and cheerful children. But the 2 kids, without asking, sat opposite them.
Ciao Giovanni e Margherita, mi chiamo Pierino. Sono in questo campo da una settimana. Sono rinato. La mia vita ha di nuovo un senso. Questa è la mia gemella di zigotica. Zdravo Ivica i Marica. Ja se vikam Ljupka. Edvaj čekam da sedneme okolo ognot, da razgovarame, da se smejeme i da peme izvidnički pesmi. Eu odeio este acampamento e eu não quero ser nenhuma maldita escuteira. Io tampoco. Questo è esattamente quello che abbiamo pensato noi quando siamo arrivati qui. Non nascoro che se predomislite, che vidite. Ieri l'istruttore ci ha insegnato a distinguere tra feci di pecora e capra, usando solo la lingua. I danes che ne nauči kako da skokame od granka na granka kako majmuni. Ta veština može da bude mnogo korisna v slučaju na napad na mečka.
When Pierino and Ljupka left, Hansel and Gretel were still cynical and resentful.
A esta gente le han lavado el cerebro.
Malditos nerds. Dame un cigarro. Suddenly, 20 hungry chickens and one aroused rooster burst into the camp. The stunned silence turned into commotion. Everyone was running and yelling.
Scouts! Diese Vögel könnten an der Vogelgrippe leiden. Pinkelt euch selbst schnell an. Der Geruch wird sie abstoßen.
Cari amici, io mi sacrificherò. Se non potete, io vi farò pipì addosso a voi. Jas, kako što veli našiot instruktor, vo ekstremni situaciji mora da pribegneme con ekstremni merki.
Vocês devem estar brincando comigo.
Deténganse, eso no es necesario. Los pollos tienen hambre. Denme pan y observen.
Everyone watched in amazement as Hansel fed the chickens. When they were full of bread, they calmly left the camp. Of course, the horny cock immediately got down to business.
Hurra! Wir sind gerettet! Gut gemacht, Hansel!
Thus, Hansel became a hero. All the scouts were carrying him on their shoulders. The next day, after morning exercises and breakfast, the instructor said,
Scouts, heute lernen wir, wie man sich in Schlamm und Blättern wälzt. Es ist die beste Tarnung in der Natur.
He didn't even finish his sentence, and an enraged bull rushed into the camp. The children started screaming and running away again.
Scouts, schmiert euch sofort mit Schafkot ein. Fäkelgerüche stoßen wilde Tiere ab.
Istruttore, possiamo usare le feci di capra? Ili kombinacija od dvata vida izmet?
Ja, das beste Verhältnis ist 60% Schafkot und 40% Ziegenkot.
Grandioso! Fortunatamente abbiamo imparato a distinguerli.
Esperem, isso não é necessário. Alguém quer um pouco de leite? Oh, come on, she was just kidding. She remembered that there was a barn in the camp with one cow in it. She took the bull to the barn and waited a bit. The satisfied bull soon came out, licked her face, and calmly left.
Hurra! Wir sind gerettet! Gut gemacht, Gretel!
Thus, Gretel also became a hero. All scouts were carrying her on their shoulders. The next day, after morning exercises and breakfast, the instructor said,
Scouts, heute lernen wir die Psychonavigationsmethode der Regenbeschwörung aus der Tradition der sibirischen Schamanen kennen. Nehmt die Rasseln und sagt mir nach.
¿Sabes qué? Ya he tenido suficiente de este campamento.
Concordo. Assim que tivermos a chance, vamos fugir. All of a sudden, several frantic bears burst into the camp and started chasing the children. The rain prayer turned into commotion. Everyone was running and yelling.
Scouts, keine Panik! Ihr wisst, was zu tun ist!
All the children climbed the trees and started swinging from branch to branch.
Momci, poglednete! Skokam kako japonski makak! Io invece uso la tecnica dell'orango di Sumatra!
Hansel and Gretel didn't want to climb the trees, so they started running away from the camp. It was the opportunity they had been waiting for. But when they realized they were being chased by several bears, they panicked.
A culpa é sua, idiota! Você estava largando as pílulas antidepressivas da mamãe. Bueno, quería recogerlos, pero tú dijiste que no teníamos tiempo.
But then, Hansel remembered that before leaving home, he had stolen his mother's new pill pack, just in case. He bravely turned and threw the pills. The bears ate them all and happily strolled into the forest. And so, the brother and sister finally escaped from the camp. They wanted to return home, but they got lost in the dense rainforest. They walked all day. They were exhausted, hungry, and tired.
Estou todo sudado. Eu sei, você fede como gambá. De alguna manera bizarra, extraño a los exploradores. Joãozinho, olha!
They couldn't believe their eyes. In the middle of a small meadow, surrounded by forest on all sides, they saw a beautiful colorful hut decorated with magical symbols and amulets. And in front of the hut, there was a table with the remains of someone's dinner. Various pastries, cheese, fruits, vegetables, cakes, and beer. A gente vai comer primeiro e depois vamos perguntar se tem alguém na casa.
Coincido contigo.
While they were eating and drinking, they didn't even notice that someone was standing next to them. When they saw a middle-aged woman staring at them, they were scared to death.
A maléfica feiticeira! My, what do my eyes see? Merry meet, ye kindred souls! Welcome to my own humble cell! Señora, ¿es usted una bruja? Indeed I be, thou bullyrook. I live in concord with nature, in tunefulness with the universe itself. For the blaze of wisdom of the old burneth fiercely in my heart. How thou callest thyself, good mate? Juanito. Thou hast the might of the bear in thy bones, and sap of the cock in thy blood. And thou, merry comrade?
Margarida.
Thou hast the force of the bull in thy body.
Bem, eu não chegaria a esse ponto. Foi apenas mal entendido.
Senhora, estamos a salvo aqui. Fear not, ye progenies of the heroes bygone. Consume and drink now, and hereafter rest. For as of tomorrow, I shall disciple you into witchcraft and sorcery.
In the meantime, upset citizens gathered in the town hall.
Exafanistike kiojosmu prochtestus itis anagrapsit in ergasia tu. Alapie na kiniisi Pokémon stinpoli. Δε τον έχω διαπότοτε.
In tombiam aika fumaneki, quae aiphelelanga apho. In cabiam in aphaza zonke in como zalapha ebumeluaneni, quae in cucu zamazilauleki. Cuco untu osin aleki sesonke.
The mayor was very distraught because she found out that her children had also disappeared after the bears attacked the scout camp. But she had to maintain order and prevent chaos.
Ne paniquons pas, nous faisons tout ce que nous pouvons. N'est-ce pas, officier?
Deret, jaumina tre kompisar inspekterar varje centimeter av skogen. Tyvärr är de ofta berusade, så hela processen går väldigt långsamt.
Я посматриваю многие профили пользователей в социальных сетях, чтобы узнать больше. К сожалению, иногда я долго засматриваюсь на эротические фотографии моделей, поэтому этот процесс затягивается надолго. The next morning, the witch offered Hansel and Gretel a very large breakfast.
Señora, ¿para quién cocina tanta comida? Thou know'st already not, old chap. I live not high alone.
Ouvi alguns barulhos ontem à noite.
Fear not, ye stout champions, for ye hear but hobgoblins household sprites. Noble-hearted creatures though gents be, forsooth, at each moment they hide. I am never saw any of those folk, for they nibble my sweet-tasting food nightly alone.
After breakfast, the witch took them to the courtyard.
First, I ought to purge your aura. Double bubble, full of trouble. Hocus pocus, mambo jumbo. Thy body I purge boldly, forever be jolly and lovely.
Kids were annoyed. She had been casting various spells all morning, and they just wanted to relax.
And now I shall balance your 7 chakras. Aum laum haum. Aum laum haum.
The whole process lasted until late afternoon. When the witch went to cook dinner, Hansel and Gretel were comparing impressions.
Você está pensando o que eu tô pensando? Sí, ella es solo una mentirosa de la nueva era.
However, they were intrigued. They wanted to see the hobgoblins the witch had mentioned. While she was sleeping, Hansel and Gretel were sneaking around the house. He heard rustling in the pantry, so he went over and opened the door. He was terrified when he saw a girl crouching there.
Tum kya chahte ho? Mujhe akeli chhod do.
He rushed into the room as if haunted by ghosts. At the same time, Gretel heard rustling in the attic. She was petrified when she opened the door and saw a boy eating a cake.
走开，去找跟你自意的地方。
She also rushed to their room. The brother and sister were so scared that they couldn't even sleep.
Ela prendeu aquelas crianças porque quer comê-las, assim como irá comer a nós. A gente deve fazer algo. De acordo, tan pronto como tengamos la oportunidad, saldremos corriendo.
In the morning, they acted as if they had not seen anything. The witch greeted them happily and touched their bellies.
I see! Ye gained some pounds, ye bold ones! Ye palpably care for my home cooking!
During breakfast, they asked her if the other kids had ever visited her.
While hither came a knave, such a sweet-faced lad he was. ¿Y dónde está ese niño ahora? I do not know, but evermore will he be a part of me.
After breakfast, the witch led them to the perimeter of the meadow.
The present day shall we learn tree-hugging, ye lion hearts.
The kids felt like idiots when she made them hug a thick tree and stay in that position for several hours. They were supposed to feel the energy of the ancestors. As soon as she went to cook lunch, the children decided to run away. But then, they heard the rustling of leaves. When they turned towards the forest, they saw their friends.
Finalmente vi abbiamo trovato! Abbiamo seguito l'odore di urina d'orso! Bevme zbuneti, bidejki ki počuvstvuvavme aktivnite sostojki na prozakot vonivnata urina.
As soon as Hansel and Gretel explained what was happening, Pierino and Ljupka told them,
Restate qui, avviseremo le autorità, salveremo voi e anche altri bambini. Kako što veli našiot instruktor, podobro je da se ostane živ, odkolku da se umre.
As expected, the news spread like wildfire. The mayor urgently convened a meeting in the town hall.
Mes chers concitoyens, Nous avons enfin une bonne nouvelle. Nous avons retrouvé les enfants disparus dans une cabane à 8 km à l'est du camp de scouts. Officier, s'il vous plaît.
De är fängslade av en häxa. Vi vet inte hur många av dem hon har rättit hittills, men minst 4 av dem lever fortfarande.
Я знаю эту избушку. Когда я был молод, я часто выпивал там с парнями и флиртовал с девочками-подростками.
Ti sto diavolo per me non me li pon.
Ma io così cisa eso silo.
After several hours of tree hugging, the witch finally invited the kids to have lunch in the yard. Again, she served them many delicious dishes.
For why ye not consume, ye all his falcons? Ye behold the fear. Are ye so the fairy folk in the forest?
And then, some 30 scouts appeared out of nowhere. They were all covered in mud and leaves. They all had slingshots in their hands.
Ej, vešterka, oslobodi gi našite prijatelji i site zatvoreni deca. Se non lo fai subito, ti colpiamo con le feci di pecora.
Wo sind die anderen Kinderhexe? Hast du sie gegessen oder hast du sie in Frösche verwandelt?
I salute you, merry fellows, but misguided ye are, for I dwell solely in my hovel. Garde mensonge pour toi.
Suddenly, enraged citizens led by the mayor came running from the forest. They had pitchforks, spears, and flaming torches in their hands. When Hansel and Gretel saw their mother, they ran and hugged her tightly. The witch was shaking with fear.
Se ton hiomuna fii, alios, tas tetisiasos ton teodia, me aftotodori.
The scouts started throwing sheep feces from their slingshots, and the citizens pelted the witch with stones and torches.
Burn the witch!
Burn the witch!
She screamed in terror. And just when it seemed that it was the end of her, 2 kids ran out of the house.
大姐，你们完全搞错了，这个女人是不会违背我们的意愿的。
Hiemu, ise zodanos. Evharisto panis hiredia. ये अच्छी महिला वास्तव में नहीं जानती थी कि हम लोग उसकी झोपड़ी में छिपे हुए हैं.
Tombiam, ingaba sequenza calisile na esi sidalva sa senzomini.
The citizens calmed down and lowered their weapons. The witch was relieved, but only then did the real drama begin. One lit torch set fire to her hut. Everyone watched in astonishment. Suddenly, they all heard screams and cries from the house.
家里还有10个孩子，他们都在地下室。आपके पूर्वाग्रहों ने उन सभी को मौत की सजा दी है. Oh mon Dieu, qu'avons-nous fait?
Нам нужна вода, но у меня есть только одна бутылка водки.
Även om vi alla kissar så skulle det inte räcka. Kein Stress, Leute! Scouts, schnell! Die Regenbeschwörung!
In an instant, dark clouds loomed over their heads. It was raining so much that all the fire went out. All the children were saved. They ran out of the hut and rushed to hug their parents. The clouds dissipated and the sun shone again. The farmer's daughter Priyanka and the school principal's son Yu Xuan explained everything.
वायस कम के कारण लगातार तनाव में रखते हैं और हमारी इच्छाओं और जरूरतों को कोई नहीं समझता है.
我们不得不离开你们，社会压力已经让孩子们难以承受。
Hansel and Gretel hugged the witch with tears in their eyes.
Essa mulher realmente tinha boas intenções. E agora le prendimos fuego a sua casa.
Zaishwola, jega nurenye bushi jeng demônio.
Você fake new age que bakwas vale he. Well, I did complete a weekend course for modern hacks. Au nom de l'administration municipale, je promets de restaurer votre maison, madame.
And so it was. The very next month, everyone gathered again for the ceremonial opening of the witch's new hut.
Most wondrous thanks, good companions! My door be ever open to all, ye protectors of truth and questions for love.
Kära häxa, jag lovar att jag och mina 3 kompisar kommer att skydda dig från alla faror. Toll! Und ich verspreche, dass die Scouts dir einmal pro Woche frische Beeren bringen.
Inoltre, abbiamo raccolto molte feci di pecore e capre. Avrà abbastanza fertilizzante per il suo giardino. Kako što veli našiot instruktor, organska ta hrana ne hrani nas, a nije ja hrani menea. Sooth ye speak, mighty warriors! Fit ye are to obtain ghostly knowledge.
Everyone was singing scout songs with joy. People were eating, drinking, and dancing. Even the hens drank more than usual, much to the pleasure of the horny cock. Children were riding the farmers' bulls and cows. And bears? They were calm, because they were finally off their antidepressants.
Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip!
Adults saw their mistakes, and children also became responsible.
Agapitemu yu Juan, apoedo, kipera thapame, mazia kini Pokémon.
Wo bao jeng hui dinchi cuo cuo ye. Priyanka vam ukusukela ngoku ngaya edolophini hongo kwaye uhlale nabahlo bobako.
और मैं हर दिन खेत में आपकी सहायता करूंगा। आपने कहा था कि आपको नई फलियां लगानी हैं। Jone, Margot, nous allons améliorer le système scolaire. Désormais, les cours seront beaucoup plus intéressants pour les enfants comme pour les enseignants.
Для начала одна из моих моделей начнет учить вас физкультуре.
Priyanka, Yu, Juan, Margarita y yo decidimos llegar a ser los exploradores. Empezamos mañana. A partir de hoje, vou postar nas redes sociais vídeos sobre sobrevivência na natureza.
What else can I say? They all lived happily ever after.
Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again!
So, I hope you liked the story. Let me know in the comments. Who was your favorite character? Do you more like this version or the classic one? And why? By the way, did you recognize all the languages? If not, sem problemas. You'll find them all in the description below. That's all for today. The new story is coming soon. Until then, stay well and bye bye. Oh yes, one more thing.
Por favor, se inscreva no meu canal.